Hello, everyone. Today I'll be talking about one of our most recent article. This is about the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change's most recent report on climate change. This is the summary of the 5 years of climate change report. This is considered one of the most comprehensive report by the IPCC. And in this article, we talk about the why this report is so important and how this report is different from the previous reports. And then we talk about some of the main findings of the report. And then we talk about like why businesses and governments need to listen to the IPCC. What are the findings that are so the revelations that are so striking that we need to listen and really pay attention to this report. And after reading the report, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, "Our world is at a crossroads and our planet is at the crosshairs. We are nearing a point of no return of overshooting the internationally agreed limit of 1.5 degrees Celsius of global warming. We are at the tipping point of a tipping point." These statements remind us like how serious the situation is, and the findings, as we will talk further in this video, are like striking, and they are really asking us to pay attention because we are very far away from reaching the goals that we have set in the Paris Agreement. A little introduction of the IPCC. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was established in 1988, and their work and their reports have been informing policymakers, government officials, and business strategists to make informed decisions about their businesses in regards with the climate change, the climate impact, nature impact, and the physical impact of climate risk on their businesses. They assess a lot of climate change signs and look out for new solutions and bring out this new technology to other people and bring it to light. We talk about some of the findings of the report. This report states that all the climate change impact, the climate change adversity is caused by human induced activities. So human are at the center of the climate change. They are responsible for it, and a lot of their actions have led to the situation that we are in right now. So one of a lot of images and describe the state of the climate change, and it talks about one of these image. It talks about the widespread and substantial impacts and related losses and damages attributed to climate change. It talks about a lot of the impact on the water availability and food production, the health and well-being, cities, settlements and infrastructure, biodiversity and ecosystems. So it sees climate change impact on all these sectors separately and analyzes what comes for us in the future if we're not being careful. Again, another image talking about humans being at the center of climate change. And this image talks about the extent to which current and future generations will experience a hotter and different world depends on the choices now and in the near term. So it all depends on us, the actions we take today, that will determine what kind of future we will leave for the next generation, the coming generation. So this image very specifically shows and by which year how much temperature there's going to be, and by then those people born today how old they're going to be. So this is in our lifetime how the temperatures are going to rise and how we're going to like adapt to that. So this image is a very clear depiction of that. So what are some of the key findings? So, human being a clear influencer of climate change, human caused climate change is already affecting weather and climate extremes in every region across the globe, causing widespread loss and damage to both nature and people. So, it's talking very clearly about we need to decrease greenhouse gas emissions because greenhouse gas emissions will lead to increasing global warming in the near term. And the 1.5 degree limit will likely be surpassed between 2030 and 2035, with current policies projected to increase global warming by 3.2 degrees Celsius by 2100. So in like the target we've set right now for reducing keeping the climate the temperature global temperatures within the 1.5 degrees is it's very unlikely that we would stay within these limits. And this report talks that we will likely surpass the 1.5 degrees centigrade um, target by the year 2030 and 2035, which is very alarming statistic. And the impacts can be even more severe and pervasive if we stay with the same kind of strategies and targets. The IPCC has very high confidence that the risks and adverse impacts from climate change will escalate with increasing global warming. One of the most important thing that we talk about during climate change is physically we see a lot of things like the warming, the temperature is there, the rising temperature we're experiencing right now, the rising sea levels are like a huge risk for cities on the coastal cities. And also ocean acidification is another one of the major problem that is going to impact sea life. Again, we talk about how human beings are at the center of all these activities, which makes us more we have to be taking actions against these. Not just people, but actually companies and organizations have to be taking actions as well. And not just the actions that we projected earlier in the past few years, but we have to really reevaluate those actions and those goals that we've set ourselves. This report is going to shape the international climate change negotiations in the future events and events like the COP meetings, which are decision-making bodies of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. So these events that happen yearly, the COP events happen yearly. So this report is going to influence the findings and the outcomes of these kind of events in the future. To keep within the 1.5 degree limit, emissions must need to be reduced by at least 43% by 2030 compared to 2019 levels, and at least 60% by 2035. Losses and damages will affect disproportionately the poorest and most vulnerable populations, particularly those in Africa and least developed countries, creating more poverty and impacting every aspect of human life. So, prioritizing equity, social justice, inclusion, and just transition processes should enable ambitious climate mitigation actions and climate resilient development. The report states that to keep the global warming to 1.5 degrees and 2 degrees, we need to involve rapid, deep, and in most cases, immediate greenhouse gas emission reductions. So in this image talks about the nationally determined contributions, the projection that we have right now and the policies and the direction we're going and the state of the global warming. It also shows what we need, like the policies that we need to keep the global warming level to 2 degrees and 1.5 degrees. So this shows that we have to drastically reduce carbon emissions to reach these levels and maintain like below the temperature below 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius. The report shows like a positive and more optimistic a view of the future by telling us that it is still possible if we do these actions for mitigating climate change. And these actions range from across the industry and in every aspect of our lives. We can make changes in infrastructure, we can make changes in the health sector, in society, livelihood, in the economy, and the energy sector and industry and the waste sector. And all combined efforts in all these sectors are essential to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So this report is a very comprehensive 8,000 pages of report, and it is vetted by government of professionals, climate professionals, and activists and scientists. And it is like one of the most important reports out there about climate change, and it's one of showing a very clear picture of in the direction we're heading. Do check out the blog that we've written, the article that summarizes this report, and visit our website, www.15rock.com/blog. You'll find a lot of our other articles there as well. Thank you so much for listening.